Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with the LSA, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our webinar series. Today's webinar is titled How Brands Can Optimize Local Social Media, and will be brought to you by our guest presenter Jacob from SOCi. During the webinar, feel free to type any questions you have in the question box on the screen, and after the presentation, Jacob will go ahead and address them. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Over to you, Jacob.
Thank you so much, Joe. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Chappelle. I am Vice President here of Enterprise Sales at SOCi. Really excited to join all of the attendees today and sharing some information about how brands local social media strategy. We've seen so many shifts in the landscape over the past few years, and predominantly as partners have really gone out and faced these new challenges and building out new products and strategies to combat these new demands for the businesses. So today, again, really excited to share these pieces of information. And more importantly, we'd love to go through this and kind of walk you through the journey of what we've seen today and how you guys can take this and apply it into your daily basis.
All righty. Well, let's go ahead and get started here. So with all the changes that we were talking about with the new landscape here in social media, you know, in the past 5 years, we've witnessed an epic rise of social media and the sheer power that it possesses. So social media has really created new languages, such as emojis, really transfer the way that businesses attract customers, and it's open lines of communications that brands and consumers, you know, have never thought that were possible. And with this age of social media, it's really kind of every marketer's dream. So the current landscape, as you look, there's over 2 billion people using social media outlets on a regular basis worldwide. But capturing the attention isn't easy, and this is a task that we're set as marketers. And so our goal here is to tap into and truly connect with the immense audience, right? Brands have to go out and build a strong strategy that revolves around consistency, right? Building your voice, what is the brand and goal and vision, and keeping that all consistent, right, across your social outlets. And you're posting relevant content, right, speaking at a timely manner, and talking to an audience that cares about your company and wants to follow that business. So these are things that we've been able to do, and ultimately, right, to do this effectively, we see that multiple locations and businesses that have lots of outlets out there have to deliver this at a local level. So the purpose, again, why local is so important, we understand that going local, you know, allows businesses to interact with an audience in different ways. You can do it in a much more personal level, so being able to go out and create more targeted, meaningful, and localized content, which in turn really increases the engagement levels. When you're speaking to that local audience with content that's relevant, you're going to get a lot more engagement. But as we see here and how businesses have changed, and once again, being able to be found across multiple places, super important for that business to have presence as well as to gain that traction. So with over 50 million local business pages on Facebook, again, this is where we've seen a shift in the marketplace, right? The other thing is, over the past few years, and we see this on a day-to-day basis talking with our end users and the clients, that Facebook has really kind of swept under the feet and being able to now be the number one in local reviews. And so for a lot of our marketers out there today, may have seen a shift in their clients' overall, you know, reviews, where the source is coming from, probably a big influx of Facebook and Google, as Facebook now, you know, has surpassed some of those other review sites. And then important, I think one of the most important things here is from a local search, right, using mobile device to find your business. You know, Facebook at 1 in 4 searches is really the go-to for people to go out and find that local business. So we see all of these things happening, and again, you know, we need to think about where are we going to get that traction and go back to the basics, right? And the word of mouth has always been the best lead generator, right? And what's happening here on Facebook is pretty, you know, it's pretty amazing, right? This is where, you know, you have the ability to go out and create content, drive those leads and conversations, and it's happening here at Facebook. And when you get that engagement, when you get those advocates to join in on those conversations, that just continues to spread, and you continue to reach more and more people, ultimately driving successful conversions for your businesses. So I think there's another piece, into that topic, and I'm going to highlight today, is really kind of the best tactics that we can utilize to manage those local social profiles. And so coming back here, thinking about certain tactics here and certain process that take place, as you go and craft and curate engaging content, there's some key points I wish everyone can take away here. So protecting your brand, right? Being able to give each of your locations a set of policies. This allows for best practices that allow you to keep that consistent, and they must follow during their individual pages. So being able to descriptively write out guidelines and protocols so that there's no confusion regarding what they can and what they cannot say that can be posted or shared. The other piece I think is really important is being able to connect with your local audiences by posting content that speaks to local events, right, that incorporates that local lingo. Localized, on-brand content will make your business feel much more like they're part of the community, and this will hopefully drive additional revenue, build that brand loyalty and customer loyalty. And then from here, when you think about, as you're looking at reaching out to your customers, right, so different types of pieces of content that you're creating and trying to resonate with what's important. Text-only statuses updates have gone to the wayside, right, and updates with images and videos have taken the forefront. So understanding that shift and adapting your overall social strategy to map that trend is definitely going to drive more success for your locations. So we've seen the shift again as far as the different types of pieces of content. I think we've all fallen to, as we're looking through social media channels, where we watch one video and then we get stuck in there watching other suggested videos. So the goal here, again, is looking at these trends and being able to go out and build a strategy that's going to deliver you results. So here's sharing a couple of these stats I think that are really valuable, right? Tweets with images receive 150% more retweets and 89% more likes, while we look at the consumption of video at such a high rate, right, with over 500 million plus people watching these videos on Facebook on a daily basis. There's a fun fact that they said in 2017, video content will represent 74% of all internet traffic. And then going back and looking at Facebook as one of the Goliaths in social media networks, and Facebook posts, again, with images, receive a 2.3x greater amount of engagement with those posts and updates without images. So looking at those trends, and again, this is a great chance to go back and review, right, whether you're looking at a sample size of what you've created for your clients or the content these brands have created on a monthly basis, and seeing the overall interaction and then mapping to what the trends are dictating. So some of these other tips, again, as we go through here, are looking at ways to help you become more efficient, right? So scheduling like a pro, right? And this is a question that I ask on a daily basis or to our agency partners, right, where, do your social media managers post manually every day, right? With technology today that exists, they really shouldn't have to. And this is a question, again, like how can you work more efficiently by helping them be more effective, but utilizing technology and automation tools that are going to allow you to deliver that consistent basis and quality for your clients, ultimately driving, those bottom line margins for your guys' companies. So the other piece, again, is as you're creating content, especially working in that multi-location platform, the idea here is to promote the message across your profiles. So there's sometimes, again, if you're dealing with, one brand that has, let's say, 30, 40, 50 locations, sometimes there's content that really can resonate that can go across all of those individual pages. And there are ways versus having to go in to manually post to each individual social platform or each individual, local page. There's technologies out there that you're able to utilize to efficiently scale that process. So you can create content, distribute that out to all of your local pages, utilizing dynamic text and merge fills that create that type of interaction. So that page feels more regionalized and personalized, so that that content, again, can get syndicated across multiple pages with a click of a button. The next piece here, as I look at, for the communication process and as those agency partners, going out and creating content on a daily basis. Being able to truly facilitate that agency and client communication or brand communication internally is creating that type of workflow that allows for your teams to collaborate as well as working at the individual client level to make sure that the copy, the content, the images, all of that stays on track, that the branding and messaging stays on point to what specific voice and tone is for that company. And then within the technology that exists today, there's approval gateways that really kind of have these smart social media workflow tools that allow you to navigate that workflow and say, let me send this content to maybe a director or a VP level or C level to easily approve, quickly make edits. They can go through and delete posts, replace posts. So it speeds up the process, right, reducing the bottlenecks that can often happen through either spreadsheets or emails, right? So being able to be on the go, as we know, again, those that are, constantly traveling to the individual locations, as well as our agency partners that are out there and dealing with multiple clients, creating that type of workflow allows you, again, to stay, on track of what their goals are, as well as making sure that there's consistency across the messaging across all the social channels. So, as you're posting and now you're delivering content out there, this is a moment to step back and really think about how do I monitor and review those analytics and where should I be focusing on those areas, right? So insights, right, really provide the direction and guidance for us to understand what's working and what's not working. So your review insights determine really the type of content or media that the audience likes and wants to engage with. And an important thing here is really to note that, not every location will be the same. So if you're pushing out content, right, and this is a great example, I was talking to a client the other day where, in the wintertime that they're publishing content that goes out to, locations in western, part of California and Southern California, and maybe their post resonates with, how to deal with cold weather. Now, being in San Diego and last Christmas where, Christmas was around 90 degrees, maybe that content would not resonate with those people in Southern California. So sometimes when you're pushing out content, right, we have to understand how we regionalize and personalize it, but you're not going to get the same interaction if you're not delivering the content that resonates with that market. Same thing goes with the type of content, right? It may perform really well in one city or state or area or region, but not perform in other areas. So looking at this, monitoring, looking at the analytics, looking at what we call more of that content intelligence, right, social media performance and metrics on the post-level analytics and seeing what's working and what's not working. Very important, again, from that local social strategy. So I want to highlight some of these other performance metrics that are really important for us to look at and make sure that we're staying on top of. And some of these things, again, may be quite intuitive, but from a different lens here and looking at it from an ability to create content that resonates a specific outcome. So changing and tweaking your content strategy may yield you a different type of specific social media engagement. So if your goal, again, is to, I only want to get likes on this post, take a step back and look at the copy that's created or the image that you've created here. Will that yield you, right, a like? Or will it probably yield you a comment if you're asking a question? Will this be more shareable, right? And you look at that data and look at the analytics, and having that information available is very valuable in building an overall local strategy. The next piece, as you look at the location and demographics, I think it's so valuable. So when you're creating content for the national brand or on behalf of the national brand, right, you're going to have a wide audience because your brand may reach across all of the states. But when you're looking at those individual local pages, you're going to realize sometimes that content you've created, maybe it's resonating into a really great pocket or a specific area, and it's hitting your target demographics, while you may be off in some areas. So this is a way for you to fine-tune both from an organic approach or also from a paid approach to make sure that you are tailoring your message to that audience as well as promoting it to the individuals. And then the other thing that I think is quite valuable as I look at, there's so many different ways for businesses to get in front of customers and consumers. And we've seen that the marketplace has definitely shifted where the consumer behavior, right, is impacted by so many different touch points. And social media is a great platform for businesses and brands to get in front of them. And as we all try to humanize that brand and all try to go out and deliver that message, when we look specifically around these key metrics, we think about, at the end of the day, right, the ability to get in front of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people is quite possible, right? And so the ability to go out and hit specific metrics on post reach, and for those, again, that aren't familiar with the term within Facebook, reach, again, represents, the individual or unique individual that see your content, while impressions or, repeat individuals that see the piece of content. So reach is a really important metric that I look at, as well as a lot of our partners look at, where they can go out and see, the impact of their content, how it's resonating, and how many eyeballs are actually seeing this content. So to think about these metrics and go back and try to make sure that is our strategy on point, are we going to be able to deliver these things on a consistent basis? The most important thing here now is, if you have the content and understand what you want to publish, we want to make sure that we're publishing at the optimal time. So you want to be able to really go out and figuring out that local audience. Now, going back to my point earlier, not all local pages are the same. And the reason why they're all not the same is because no two people are the same. And so the audience for one specific local store or location may be very different from the next, right? Maybe even 5, 10 miles away, another location, franchise location, right, could have a very different outcome. And because you're looking at that individual local level, micro level analytics, and you start looking at that online presence, engagement, and traffic, you're going to realize that if you can speak to your audience at the optimal time, you really can yield 2 results. You get more people to talk to, so you can increase your potential reach, and ultimately, creating great content, you'll be able to increase your overall engagement. So diving deeper into these analytics will reveal when your fans are online, right? So being able to go out and look at that from location to location, and having the local pages data in front of you allows you to deliver at the optimal time for that specific audience. And this is, again, through technology that's out there, allows you to organize this, and you don't have to go back and pull up spreadsheets and get out rulers and trying to figure out what that optimal time is, right? There's technology that can track that local level analytics and then be able to go out with a clickable button, deliver it at the optimal time to speak to that audience. So as we're going out there, again, building our content, I don't want to forget about, the brand and reputation management side of things, because I think it's so impactful when we look at it from a local social strategy. So in the days of those businesses that have put their head in the sand and said, I don't really care what people were saying about us, right? These have really, again, these businesses are starting to catch up and trying to realize that, we actually have to have, a say in what people are saying about us. So your brand images, again, and your overall brand quality is no longer in your control. It really, again, lies within the hands of your consumers. So when you go out and spend all that time in marketing to say, this is what our brand's all about, there are consumers out there with a click of a button can go out and really change that sentiment or the overall branding of that business by telling a new story. We've all seen the stories, we've seen across that have gone viral, the stories like for the airlines that had some struggles over the past few years. People are constantly reading online and looking at these reviews. I don't know the last time that you've made an Amazon purchase, but I can tell you I've received boxes on a daily basis from my wife, and constantly she's looking at reviews in order to make her decision. So with that being said, we don't want to leave your brand unprotected, right? It's important to stay on top of it, because ultimately this allows you to gain trust and credibility, and you don't want people to go out there and tell your story, right? That's our job as marketers. So I'm going to cover 3 important factors of reputation management, right, that I want to highlight. Number 1, making sure that if we are delivering this product as an agency for our clients, making sure that we can deliver a product that's in a timely manner, or directly for the brands, on the call today, making sure that there is a protocol in place. I talk to brands all the time where their expectation doesn't match reality, where they may come to me and say, okay, our expectation for our local store owners or franchise owners or business owners are going to be to respond within 24 hours or 48 hours. And when you actually go and look at the analytics, you realize maybe that it's taking a week or 2 weeks for them to respond to the good reviews, the bad reviews, right, the ugly ones, right, the neutral ones. The idea is to make sure that we're responding. And I look at it really, again, coming back from something that's really important, is looking at the interaction that a person has. So 72% expect a response in less than 1 hour if their review is negative. And I think about it, again, is where if you're really upset, right, you want to make sure that your voice is being heard. And this is an opportunity for a brand to diffuse that situation, to turn someone that's quite upset or angry about an experience they had with your brand or with one of your stores, and to convert that person into, a very happy customer. And I know that's what we all strive for from the customer experience. But the other piece is, right, 50% of consumers expect that the same response time happens on the night and weekends as in normal business hours. So we can see that they're equating this to as if I pick up the phone and call and I just keep hearing the phone ring and ring and ring. That's a horrible customer experience. So we got to figure out that process and create metrics internally and figure out how do we deliver this and meet those goals and utilize technology to remind us in case, we've set a deadline and we've missed on that deadline. Another piece that's quite important, as I look at, and I talked briefly about the customer service side of things, is making sure that, making sure that we are speaking and we are listening to our customers. And if we look at the big brands that they've shifted into this model, is utilizing social media as a form to go out and to listen to the customers and to quickly be able to filter through those conversations and make really fast decisions, as well as being able to reduce that response time. And so I look at it from this, right, and that's their goal, right, is 71% of consumers who've had a good social media service experience with a brand are likely to recommend it to others. This actually will impact our bottom line, right, because then customers who receive good service on social media will spend 20 to 40% more. And lastly, right, what we look at this is that the last 2 years, we've seen a 250% increase in customer service conversations on Twitter. And so we're looking at these brands and those that are really trying to figure out the process. And we've seen that the customers and clients understand that they can get quick response versus waiting on hold for hours to make that, to make that conversation happen. That is really the day in the past. We, again, as brands, are trying to go out and make sure that the customer has a great experience. And this is just one other way to make sure that we can listen and respond and do it in a timely manner. And lastly, I think we don't, we may intuitively think this, and we may just have this at top of mind, but sometimes this doesn't really happen, where we forget to say thank you. And we have to stop for a moment and say, number one, the customer did not have to go and leave that positive review. They didn't have to go and leave that negative or neutral review, but they took their time to share and give that feedback. So whether it's good, bad, ugly, horrible, or amazing, let's also show them the courtesy and to take that time to go and say, thank you for sharing that. And it's super important because, number one, they're being heard. Number two, this is a chance for you to diffuse the situation and to go in and take something, if, again, if it was a, negative experience, to go and make it right and fix the wrong if there's a wrong that's happened. And then for those that are sharing the positive, this is a chance for you to go and highlight and make sure that, they feel that they're being heard. And those, going back to that data, right, are going to be more likely to go and share their experience with others and tell others about that great positive experience. So as we think about this, right, the benefits of going local really include, it increases that social brand awareness, right? And it's really, in a way, it allows us to be more meaningful in our social engagement, and we're able to go out and have a better targeted reach. And there's a lot of different things within specific social networks as you build out that social audience. There's additional value built into those specific local audiences, from number one, creating that review and creating that local engagement, people be able to check in, people able to share, people also creating that more personal relationship with that local store, someone that's going frequently to that same location on a consistent basis, or the same business on a consistent basis. It allows them to build that relationship, and ultimately they can share content that they've created or share great pinnacles that they've had at that location because they have that relationship. So we see, again, that all of this is super important into our strategy, and there's a lot of different things and different tasks involved. And when we look at it, right, we really have to ask our question, are you optimized to go local on social media? And if you're not, this is hopefully an eye-opener in areas where you can focus, as well as look for partners that can help along the way, or technology that can help deliver to you a successful local social strategy. So with that being said, I will turn the time back to Joe. My contact information is jacob@meetsoci.com. You can feel free to reach out to me with any additional questions. And I will turn the time back over to Joe here, as it looks like there's quite a few different questions that are coming in, as well as if any other questions that you may have, feel free to send it our way.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. A lot of really meaningful, great tactical information here. And I just want to remind everybody, if you do have questions, just feel free to type them in the question box on your screen. So one of the first questions that came in, very specific kind of tactical question. I work at a small business home service industry with 12 locations. What advice do you have for the social profiles and, most importantly, review generation? They currently have one Facebook page for the business as opposed to 12 different ones for each location.
Oh, great question. And I do get this question quite often, right? There's different ways to approach that. There are some businesses where they feel that if they just have one national presence, then they're being satisfied and have that type of presence that covers all their stores. Again, looking at technology that can help facilitate a very easy way to syndicate content to multiple pages will offer you that more localized social strategy. So creating individual local pages would create a lot of value to build out that presence. Again, it can vary from brand to brand, but as you look at that, there's additional impact that can affect from a local search. So if I go in and look for your business, say you're a smoothie shop, and I type in smoothie San Diego right there within Facebook, if you don't have that individual local Facebook page, right, and just have your national brand, you may not show up in that individual search. And so this is opportunities where businesses miss out on business. And ultimately, right, we want to be able to do everything that we can. So if time or resource is a challenge, right, there is technology out there, there are partners out there that can help you build out that local strategy and create content across those pages.
So here's another kind of small business related question. With small businesses that may be under, say, 5 to 10 employees, what do you recommend for best leveraging social media, given how time intensive it can be?
Yeah, going back to what I said, I think it's starting with a goal and making sure that, if you guys have created a social channel, understand that you don't need to be in every single social media channel. And this is a point that I always like to highlight, right? I go to sometimes and meet with brands, and they'll sit down and they say, okay, well, we want to really, revamp our social strategy, and we want to be on Facebook and Twitter and Google and LinkedIn and Instagram and Pinterest. They name them all, and I said, okay, well, let's start at the important ones, right? Where are you having your conversations today? What's important to your guys' brand? What are you guys selling? Is it product? Is it service? So take that opportunity to sit down, look at your target audience, right? If you have a target audience that have younger demographics, well, then maybe you're looking at these other types of, maybe not the top 5 social media channels. There's other ones that are out there. But go out and start there to really understand what that audience is, and then make sure that you're matching that within the specific social networks. And in doing so, I would start in one of those social media networks that are going to drive you the most impact. We highlighted today the value of Facebook and the amount of users that are on there. Now, this is not, say all for every single business, because there's a lot of businesses that are quite successful on Twitter and LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a chance for you to step back, look at where you need to be, look at where your people and your target audiences are, and then making sure that your messaging is at least in one of those platforms. Start with one of those social networks, and then you can build upon that as time goes on.
Do you have any sense of if verifying a local brand page, does it assist in searches that take place on Facebook?
Absolutely. And so for those that are not familiar with verification, You may have done that if you've started your own Google My Business page where you've gone through, and it's interesting with Google how amazing they are. They ask you to do a postcard in more of the, the analog way. But there's also a way that you can call them and they can get you a code. So verification is going to impact that search. And there's a little icon when you look under verification. There's a little question mark that says, why should I verify my business page? And it does tell you that this will impact your ranking within Facebook search engine. And this happens across all the other social media networks as well as review sites that require verification. So take that time. Really can take a couple seconds to go in there, click on it, suggest that verification. Usually all they're trying to do is make sure that you are who you say you are and you're the business owner, and that what you've created as far as a social page really represents your business, because there are businesses out there and there are rogue pages where people have gone and created those. And again, we want to make sure that, you are keeping an eye on that, but more importantly, go out and verify, take a second, and it will help your guys' search.
In your opinion, what do you think is one of the top pain points that it's ailing social media managers today?
That's a really great question. When you think about all of the daunting tasks that they have, for social media managers, maybe they're managing too many clients, or maybe they're not using the right technology. And so if they're logging into multiple systems, right, if you think about that, at the end of the day, none of those systems probably speak to each other. So from a reporting aspect, if I'm an agency, I have to go out and deliver a report for my brand to let them know what we're doing. I got to log into 5, 6 different systems for everything that I'm doing for social reputation. That's very cumbersome, but more importantly, that data, by the time it actually makes it into a place where I need to go and consolidate or warehouse it, it's probably old or stale. So I know that for a lot of social media managers, again, what's challenging for them is being able to manage so many different accounts, but more importantly, making sure that they're using the right technology. The other piece is, from a content creation and content curation process, is utilizing technology that also can help in that process to see what's working, what's not working. There's great technology that's out there. Even within the SOCi platform, we've built our own proprietary content discovery search engine that can highlight content, how it's performing across the social web. That's usually an area that we get a lot of questions. And then lastly, I highlighted a little bit of it, is speaking at that local level, speaking to be able to go out and deliver a peak traffic. A lot of other systems out there that we've looked at and brands that we've talked to, it's quite of a challenge, right? They usually will just send out, if they want to send out one post and send it out to 50 pages, they'll just send it out at the exact same time. So they're sending it out 10 a.m. Eastern, but maybe they have locations that are in Hawaii or maybe in California or Texas. And we realize maybe that target audience really is not going to be on early in the morning, right? Especially in Hawaii, no one wakes up after 10 a.m. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing the local strategy by using the best technology that's going to help facilitate, better results.
Specific to the SOCi platform, who are your clients typically? Are they multi-location brands? Is it some agencies? Is it even some small businesses with maybe only a few locations? Who are you guys currently working with?
That's a really great question. So we primarily focus on 3 verticals. So we work in the real estate and property management vertical, so multi-location real estate groups that have thousands of agents, or property management groups that have hundreds or thousands of properties. The other vertical has been focused on the digital agencies or S&B aggregators that are working with those small to medium-sized businesses. So we work through our partners and channel partners that are out there utilizing our technology to scale their social media and reputation offerings. And then the other area, again, we work directly with brands, multi-location brands, and franchisors and franchisee organizations. So our goal, again, as we've worked within those different verticals, there's a lot of subcategories that kind of fall in there, right? So within the franchise space, there's restaurant groups, there's service groups. So there's a whole bunch of different sub-verticals, but those are the primary 3 big buckets.
So with all these, you just kind of mentioned some of your clients. How are they using your technology?
Absolutely. I think it comes back to understanding that, SOCi's technology is an actual infrastructure technology. So think about it as really the backbone to everything that you need to do for social media and reputation management. So our system really sits at the core within the social team to be able to go out and create workflow solutions and be able to create that pathway. So it's from, there's about 12 or so plus modules within our technology that can really help every step along the way. So from the initial content creation of what to post, right, being able to go and identify great content, score and analyze that content, to the planning and preparation of content within our creative studio of editing and optimizing the content for specific social channels, all the way down to your publishing and scheduling, and then all of the workflows that go involved with who should be scheduling, who's approving what. So ultimately, when we go and work with our partners, our goal is to really align with their organization and making sure that we can deliver, a technology that is going to map what they're hoping to accomplish, as well as make them very, very efficient so that they can go out and reach their goals.
Does the platform also enable paid ads?
Absolutely. So this is a product that we actually have gone out and built. And so that's something that we have, that we now have in our platform that we'll be releasing in this next quarter.
Okay, great. So what if you could say that there was one way that managers of multiple social media pages, one way that they could save the most time, outside of kind of working with the platform like SOCi or something, but what are some advice or guidance that you would provide to people that are kind of still managing it maybe in a more manual way? Do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually it's making sure that you can organize, if you're working with, let's just say 20, 50, 100 stores, at the end of the day, the content you're creating, it may be more national content, so that content can be syndicated through those different pages. And then the more regionalized content, so for those that are empowering their local store owners or franchise owners in the multi-location atmosphere, allowing them to go out and create content as well. You do run into some challenges because if you are now empowering someone that doesn't have a lot of experience at creating content or working within social media, they could actually create content that could be brand damaging. So sometimes that's a little bit scary for brands to deliver the reins to the local stores. So at least making sure that there's specific tools or process in place that someone is editing or reviewing before things actually go live. The other thing is making sure that you're not stretched too thin. So if you have very limited time and resources, you shouldn't say, I have to go and publish this to, 20 different social media networks, right? Maybe that is not the best use of your time. Maybe it allows you to create really quality content and then be able to distribute that content across the networks that are going to impact your business.
You had mentioned that there was, the making sure to post at the optimal time. How does that relate to, given Facebook's kind of posting algorithm? Are they clashing? Like, so if you do post at optimal time, does that necessarily mean it won't go to certain people or will go? Or, do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So understanding Facebook's attrition algorithm is where when you post a piece of content, or let's just say you keep posting content, so if you have a page and you're posting maybe 20 times a day and you're over-posting, that's really the purpose of the algorithm, right, and making sure that you're resonating with your audience, right? Facebook doesn't want people to be upset if you keep publishing content and it keeps going to those individuals. So they're looking at the overall analytics where if you have 100 fans and you push out a piece of content and you're only getting one person that sees it or engage with it, well, maybe they're saying maybe that content is not so relevant. Over time, part of that attrition algorithm means that it decreases the amount of potential organic reach that you're getting. Therefore, you're going to have to put a big, dollar amount into your paid side to even make impact. So from an organic approach, right, utilizing peak traffic is creating relevant content in the first place, and then from there marrying that into creating it at the optimal time allows you to deliver content that delivers you a better chance to driving more of that organic traffic. Again, it goes back to understanding when your people are online and making sure that you are creating the content that's resonating with those people. and that in turn will be able to deliver, better performance metrics for those posts.
Okay, great. Now, this was really good Q&A, and thank you so much for presenting today, Jacob. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Okay, and thanks for everyone for attending today. If you have any questions that maybe weren't answered, or if you'd like to be connected with Jacob, you have his contact information there, or you can contact us at webinars@thelsa.org. Also, for a look at what's coming and to access all of our past webinars, you can visit www.thelsa.org/webinars. So with that, thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.